Namaste, Jai Bharat. One point from the past history of Bharat is that whenever we were pressurized by external forces by not letting us have something which we needed, we always made it. That's a history of Bharat. Remember that time the rule of this the country was ruled by the Congress kind of democracy, and the Congress kind of democracy is not very different from the US kind of democracy for the simple reason both used to be based on money power, where the so-called democratic rights of a citizen reaches only those citizens who can afford it. Let me say that, those who can afford it. So that way democracy becomes an expensive business for people living in these countries. That used to be the case in Bharat until and unless a new government came into power. The people of this nation elected this BJP government for the third time because they are seeing changes where things reach people. The previous government of Congress time, I think when Rajiv was, these people are fortunate because they are born with the prime ministership in their pocket because of Nehru kind of story. That of course is absolutely rational kind of thing, but it used to happen, and it did happen for nearly 80 years. It's very unfortunate for the nation. A nation that had been subjugated for 1,000 years by people, those who have no understanding what is Bharat and Sanskriti. And then it goes into this duplicate democratic people who were fundamental structure is money. So nothing has ever reached people of Bharat. It's only now that things gradually started reaching, and it will take time because the infrastructure is so rusted and non-operative. It will take time to undo the things which they have done for their personal benefits, etc. This is available to people, those who want to know it. So, the technology, whenever Bharat was compelled, we have made it even in those regimes. For example, few examples I would like to give. One is that supercomputer. This is Bharat is not ready for supercomputer. Nobody gave us. Well, we made it. In time, we made it. Then cryogenic engine, other story. Whatever comes to my mind, I am telling. There are many things like that. Well, nobody gave us. We made it. And similarly, but with the present government, the scientists were given adequate facilities to study, research and create. In the past, I myself served the Bharatiya Vaisana Indian Air Force for something like 10 years. I know we had such wonderful air defense system. 50 years before we had 3 or 4 tier air defense system. And now people are talking about it. We had it in the past. We were capable. But we were not, there was no such opportunity of using it, but sufficient support never used to be given from the government side. They will not allow us to go forward and act. Then they will be admonished. Why you went to do this, did that. But nonetheless, we used to do our own work in whichever manner possible, but with caution. We were coerced and not provided with. That used to be the case in the past. Now things are different. We are supported, we are guided, we are protected, we are cared. Everything is same. So things develop. Our scientists are given facilities. Our soldiers are given confidence. They know even before they knew that we can do this. One of the greatest things for our defense is that we are fundamentally more disciplined than forces elsewhere. But our discipline is a different kind of discipline from what one may understand as discipline. Our discipline is by and large internal. It's an internal discipline, not an external discipline which is imposed from without. That is the case with the defense forces, the army, navy, air force. The discipline comes from outside, from the structure of the concept of army, navy, air force. They are collective terms. In grammar, collective terms. So, discipline in Bharat begins in families. See, Kutumba, our fundamental strength unit is family, which people are trying to destroy, especially the communists, the Marxists, theoreticians, the anarchists. They would want to destroy it, but then it's beyond their reach actually. They can't even imagine of destroying, but they try. They have been trying through movies, the thing that anyway that deviates my point. So the fundamental thing, our greatest advantage is that we are inherently an internal discipline. Our discipline is not physical, but it's basically mental. With such discipline, our unity is always intact, and our dedication is divine. Our love for the nation is transcendental. These differences are there always. With this, we are strong. And whenever it is necessary, we make things. Now, why I said all these things in such a narrative thing is that, see, nations, especially someone like America, have the habit of, they think they are boss, they are ruling fine, so long as they think it is their thought, it's all right. When it comes to action only, we'll find something difficult. So, they think they everything. So, how they have it is sending spy satellites. Spy satellites, they want to observe, where Chundilal is going for this and where Ram Singh is going for this. They want to see. They observe. And to what extent they decode their understanding and to what extent they reach kind of judgments is open to discussion. Many times they may be wrong, many times they may not be wrong, they may be right. That's all right. But then they have the spy satellites placed all over to find out who is doing what, because they think, they consider, and they of course do act upon also, that these information data is necessary for them to organize their whatever plans. Now I find many people speaking datas, that's the wrong thing. Greek, datum, data. So they need this data. To obtain this data, they use such satellites. Now, they said some satellites, but when it comes to Bharat, this thing the news comes out much later. This we have been doing for quite some time, as I understand. We have devices, technological devices. What are technology? I don't know, and I don't want to know also. I don't want to know things which matters national security. I don't want to know, because that's how we are trained in the Indian Air Force. I was in Air Defense. I will not like to know something which doesn't concern me, and I certainly wouldn't like to know something which is connected to the security of my nation. That's something which is implanted in us. Implanted in the positive sense, I don't take it negative. So we have developed some technologies which would mislead, misrepresent, or misguide these satellites. Now, whatever effort, money, time they spent on sending these mosquitoes, spy satellites, become subsequently used. They'll be misinformed. This happens for quite some time. They wouldn't get information. In fact, they did not get the information about the second Pokhran nuclear test during Atalji's prime ministership, because we devised it in such a manner that they could not detect. Now they can't detect if they want. One more point I would say just before stopping. There was an F-35, two F-35s actually. One just straight into, as the report says. I think deliberately came to our air defense space and then became a junk. It somehow came and landed. The pilots landed. The aircraft exposed because the pilot refused to take it to any hangar. He was afraid that we will take the data. Chinese are very smart in it. They will do reverse engineering and get things done. I don't know whether we do it or not. I would say that we should also do it personally for the love of my nation. There is no such ethics in war. So it's almost here for a month. They couldn't even start the engines because we had now. People are saying it, and I knew it otherwise. They used some technology that made their electronic circuits non-functional. Then, as I understand, after a month they had to come and replace all their electronic equipment, the panels or things like that, to make it operational, and then they could fly this thing out. So that's one example. But then itself, when these F-35 was stranded in the Tiruvananthapuram civil airport, that's civil and this thing together, civil airport, another F-35 strayed from east, from the Andaman side, and which was challenged before they entered the air defense identification zone of Bharat, and then he vanished. Because he is expecting, the pilot, poor fellow, he's been told that you are undetectable, invincible, invisible, my God. And that poor man comes with that flying machine, thinking that no one can detect him. But then he was given this instruction, most likely, that if any transmission comes to you, fly off. So the moment he was trying to near the air defense identification zone, before entering itself, we just asked, hey, who are you? What on earth are you doing there? And he fled without answering. So, 2 attempts. So, on the first part, they did not know what we had done to their machine, and they do not know how our air defense identification process progresses. It means we have our own methods which you do not know. And these methods what we have, we keep improvising and we keep improving. So even if you get to know some tidbits from this point to that point, next time when you try to overcome our efficiency, then by the time we must have replaced it with a further version. So this will be ongoing. So precisely, their satellites now can't do anything. They will be just misguided. That's the best word I can use. I don't want to go into details. They will be misguided, misinformed. The data what they collect will be misrepresenting what they actually want to collect. So technology is now no more anyone's property. There are people in the world with better minds which are tens and tens and tens of thousand years old civilized. Before that, all others were so-called. Civilization comes to you much later. When you compare others with the nation like Bharat, you really do not know how ancient is the Bharatiya civilization, because we have no access to understand. The modern method of understanding antiquity is insufficient to really fathom the extent of antiquity with the Bharatiya knowledge tradition. This civilization is based on a knowledge tradition. This is not simple. A knowledge tradition is completely comprehensive, which had not left any aspect of knowledge untouched. So let's be cautious about people who are ancient, who are half the potentiality of creating. You wouldn't know what's happening. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat and Jai Sri Ram.